Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to delve into the dastardly mind of Adam Yeater. I'm not going to go through I'm going to go through them, but I'm not going to review them and really delve into each comic book. This is more about his style and the artist himself and what he has going on and stuff like that. But before we get into that, I'd like to show some of my own work. This is Random Access. It's a full size, sometimes full color, but not recently. I plan on going back to that. This is the latest issue 21, and it's a full size, 12 pages with backup features by Christopher Knox and Paul Courtjohn, which are fantastic. And you can get these at patreon.com/Alex Turbin. There's 21 issues, but you can also get these at alexanderturbin.com. And while you're there, you can also pick up Mutandis. All of the Mutandises that are available are there, and as well as the Forlorn and all kinds of other work that I've done in the previous years. The many years I've been trying to break into the comic book industry. But it's going to happen, especially with your guys' help. So Adam Yeater. Adam is one of the first people that I met on Instagram because I went a long time without being on Instagram and just kind of stumbled upon it when the Power Comics guys got in contact with me, and they were into Mutandis and all that kind of stuff. And I finally started an Instagram. I had been on Twitter, but that was kind of a letdown as far as being in contact with comic book artists and other comic book people that I really enjoyed. So as soon as I hit on to Twitter, Instagram, there became this whole host of indie comics artists that I was really fascinated with. And like I said, one of them was Adam Yeater, and what his main character that he has in all of his Blood Desert comics is Mayhem. He didn't have a name at the time, and I think I kind of pushed him to name him, which that's a cool name. But Blood Desert is his main story, and it's a kind of a post-apocalyptic wasteland storyline. And so I decided to do a pinup of Mayhem, and let's see if it's in here. No, it's not in here. He liked it, and so we decided to trade some comics and stuff, and I gave him some, I can't remember what I gave him, random accesses, I think. At the time, I was just kind of experimenting with random access, and it was just this little black and white mini comic, and I hadn't really started to go into the full-size comics yet. But then he had me print some of these, The Cult of Swine, which is a really cool book. This is a demo copy because I actually got the pages in the incorrect order, and that's why I still have it. And it's a little bit more off-center, stuff like that. But the stories are great. So Blood Desert, like I said, is a post-apocalyptic story, and he's a clone. Mayhem is a clone, and I guess he rose up against his evil overlords, and there was a nuclear war or something like that. But one of the great things that I love about Adam's work is that there's a lot of things that I really love about his work, his line work in particular. If you've ever seen any of his videos of him inking or anything, you'll see him kind of have the far away approach like a Japanese inker, and that's really fantastic. I really love that approach, and I love his fluid line work, and yet it has a good amount of detail, but it also has a good amount of subtleties where he doesn't need all the details. So that's some of the things that I love about his work, but the main thing I love about his work is the characters. He has such a great grasp of creating characters that just kind of spark an interest or spark your imagination. Mayhem is a huge example of this. He's just his character, like the simple things about him, the fact that he grows a beard, the fact that he changes over the time span of the Blood Desert, and like he's got this prosthetic hand thing and a prosthetic leg thing. I don't know if it's prosthetic. It's more like this metal conjoiner thing. I don't know what you'd call it. But yeah, so I mean, his characters are really fantastic. It's not just Mayhem, but it's like all of his. He's got some really great antagonists as well as his protagonists, and like the pig cult is really so fantastic, and all of his zombies. If you've seen the menagerie of his zombies, they're really awesome. Just the differences that he brings to each zombie, even though they're kind of like I don't know if they're zombies. They're not zombies. They're mutants. I think there's a cross section of mutant and zombie. But that's, well, like I said, it's one of the great things that I love about his art. Also, his not his pacing, but his action. He's got such fantastic action. He really, you can go through from one panel to the next panel to the next panel, and you know exactly what's going on, and it's really always exciting and dynamic. That's the word that I was really looking for. His action sequences are super dynamic and fantastically done. So one of the things that I did with Adam is that we were going to do this. I think it was my idea to restart Random Access as like a number one and try to sell it through Diamond, and that kind of failed horribly. I don't know if it failed horribly, but it failed. Somehow, even though Diamond doesn't distribute, or they distribute Marvel, but not in a real distributor way, and I don't think they distribute DC at all. Even though they've lost all of that big money, they chose not to take us on as clients to sell our books. I think one of the setbacks was they wanted 6,000 social media subscribers, and I think they may have looked at our social media and saw that Adam had like 3,000 at the time, and I only had like, I don't know, 700, something like that. So that was a big hurdle. I'm not entirely sure what else was their problem, except for maybe that it was a black and white anthology, and anthologies don't really sell that great, I guess, through Diamond anyway. So I contacted Adam, and we were going to do this whole thing, and it was a cool concept, and I really think that I would like to try to go through Diamond again, maybe come up with something else. Maybe when I have enough issues of Queller or Cyrene or something, I'll try to do that again. But I contacted Adam, and I was like, hey, let's do something together, and we'll try to distribute it through these Diamond. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. That sounds cool. So we got this story together. He was going to do the first part, and I was going to do the second part. And it was really a haunted house thing. I wanted him to, the only thing that I wanted him to do was end his part of the story at a haunted house. And so this is the one that we're going to go through. So like I said, it just kind of starts, and with Mayhem, and he's on a bridge. It's the Blood River outside Tunis, Arizona. Adam, is there really a Blood River, or is this just based on another river that you consider Blood River? That is a question, because he lives in Arizona and I live in Maine. So like the dichotomy there is pretty cool. So we have Mayhem, which I don't think he was Mayhem at the time, just kind of enjoying his own time, kind of living life slowly and methodically. And he comes to this crossroad, which everybody loves a crossroad story, particularly me, because there's always a demon and there's always a bargain. So Mayhem goes to the crossroad and he starts a fire. One of the things that I often wonder is because one of Adam's requirements for us doing this crossover is that Mayhem doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't really say much. He just kind of grunts or swears or stuff. So you're really always kind of either wondering what is going through his head, or you're you have to be told by the story, or you have to decipher from what is going on in the story to kind of decide what's going on in his head. I don't know if that's a conscious effort of Adam's psyche. I don't know if mayhem is a kind of an offshoot of his personality and his psyche, and he sees all of this desolation in his modern world, and he just kind of feels like a passenger in this desolated post-apocalyptic world. I don't know. It sounds like an interesting concept. Adam, if you watch this, could you please chime in and let us know what your feelings are about the intricacies and the depth of the blood desert and mayhem, and what he's usually thinking. I know he does a lot of drugs. He causes a lot of violence. Like in his namesake, he's mayhem. But he also feels like he's a little bit deeper than that. He feels like he's not just this drug-addled creature, especially because I don't hope I'm not giving stuff away, but he was a clone, and I don't know if this was after a nuclear war or whatever. He broke away from his clone buddies, and he became something else. So really, that's kind of an in-depth way of looking at society and looking at the world around you. Like you're not just a number. I mean, it's a lot like The Prisoner. You're not a number. You're not just a statistic. You're an individual. And I think. I mean, I can't really say for sure. Hopefully, Adam chimes in at some point. But I really feel like it's the individuality of Mayhem and his goings on that really is a key issue in all of his comic stories, or most of his comic stories. And really, that's kind of what Adam I think is what he's going for, is the individuality and the kind of the aloneness in a world that's just gone crazy. And it kind of feels like that might be what he's going for in his like reflecting his own life, or reflecting how he sees society as a whole. So anyway, Mayhem's at the crossroads, and he's eating some chicken, and he just kind of goes to sleep, and this big bird comes around somewhere around midnight, and he's like, what? Groan. He's just waking up, and there's this giant what the hell, not a crow, it's a old man brain cramp. Anyway, it's this giant bird, and so he grabs Mayhem, he sweeps him off his feet, and he's up there flying around, and he just man, I had it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, he drops Mayhem, which at that height you would think it would kill him, but maybe because he's a clone, he has some superpowers or super strength or a super kind of not invulnerability, but super toughness. He sure seems like that. But the bird just drops him in a bunch of cactuses, and he ends up at the haunted house. So for my part of the story, and it ends with just kind of the rogue clone of Blood Desert. It's just kind of a what's what and who's who of Mayhem, and just kind of shows like the clone defects. But do you really see these as defects? Because he has to survive in this cruel world. So really, it's kind of a benefit to have all of these defects, and it lets him survive in this new world. It really kind of is a transitionary period in the world, going from what we see in modern world to something that is akin to Mad Max a little bit, only with clones and stuff like that. So let's finish this off with my part, because it's Haunted Part 2, and he's at the house, and this is a crossover because I'll show you in a minute. But Mayhem goes into the house, and he's looking up the stairs. He's going to go up the stairs, but then he hears a crash, and it's a rat. So he takes his gun out. Not really as big a gun as I was hoping. If I had redrawn it, I think it would have been a lot bigger gun. But, That's what she said. Anyway, the rat is skittering away, and Mayhem just blast some holes into the wall, hoping to get the rat, and then some oozing black gunk. I'm not going to say it's blood. I mean, it could be blood, but it doesn't have to be. Starts oozing out of the hole, and as Adam wanted, I didn't really have him say anything. He just kind of swears a little bit and kind of investigates the holes, and then this tentacly like thing grabs his head and pulls him towards the hole and smashes him through the wall. And in my mind, that's a portal to another dimension. And it's really this is one of the mages from Mage World. So that is who isn't in any of the other Mage Worlds yet. She's to come. She's TBD, to be determined, I guess. Whenever I do the next Mage World installment, she'll be in it. And so she sees him there, and she's got all these skeletons because she is the mage of the dead. That's where she gathers her power from the dead people and from death and all of that stuff. And so Mayhem just does what he does best and starts shooting skeletons and stuff like that. And she's like, I cut the shit out. She's like, that's where I derive my powers. And she says that he's killed so many people that she appreciates him. And she realizes that he doesn't have a soul. And to kind of repay him for giving her all of the souls that he has in the previously, she's going to give him a soul, and it's the soul of the rat. So in my storyline, I don't know if Adam's going to use this as canon or whatever, but in my storyline, she translates or whatever the rat soul into Mayhem. So he gains a rat soul, and so he has the soul. And even though he's a clone, he now has a soul, and he kind of just jumps and runs and smashes through a window of the haunted house, and the haunted house just kind of disappears. And here's a back page by James Coates, and it's really fantastic. I love the Death Knight in this, and the back cover by T. So yeah, I kind of went into my own stuff. Anyway, we're talking about Adam stuff. So if you're ever doing dealings with Adam, whether you go to his website, which I'm going to put a link to in the description, hopefully, if I can figure it out. My old man electronics brain doesn't often work. But if you ever buy stuff from Adam or you trade stuff with him, he's always like super generous. He always, sends you stickers and other books and all this other kind of cool stuff. So I would wholeheartedly recommend picking up his stuff and checking out his website. It's like a big cartel site. Like I said, I'm going to post a link to it in the description. So hopefully you go and grab some of his stuff or a lot of his stuff, because it really is fantastic. I think I've covered all of the stuff. Like I didn't say this before, but he is one of the founding members, I think, of the Toilet Crow. So he's one of my brothers in the toilet. And I also love his occult. He has a lot of occult awareness going on in his comics and stuff. This is like a historic kind of thing. I don't know if it's historic or it's just No, it's not really historic. It's just a cool little story about an occultist and trying to create stuff. So actually, I think I should probably go through this next time. I'm going to go through this and maybe another Adam comic. But for now, I just really wanted to touch on some of the really fantastic stuff. I didn't even really go into the color of his work, and I love his. Oh man, I just wish I had the words for a lot of the things that I'm trying to convey about his work. But it's just his watercolors are a little bit sparser, but they have some really great texture. And it's like he just kind of lets it do its own thing, and he just kind of guides the watercolor to do what he wants. And he has some really great mixtures of colors and stuff. He just has a really great grasp of color in total. So yeah, here's Adam Yeater's art. You can get his stuff at Big Cartel, and I wish I had looked at his website name and stuff so I could say it here. But I love his art. I love his writing. I love his whole creative process. I think he's moving away from Blood Desert and working on something else. But I don't know if that's a super secret project or not. But anyway, uh, yeah, this is Adam Yeater's art. Go give it a try. If you like this kind of content, I'm going to really ask you to, if you're new, to subscribe to the channel, because there really isn't a lot of awareness of the indie comic scene, especially from the 80s and 90s. It's kind of an art form and a way of doing comics that really a lot of people maybe don't know about and maybe haven't explored yet. And a lot of it is that they're just not aware of it. But bringing this kind of stuff and the early 80s and early 90s stuff that I generally go through would really bring a lot of attention and more of an audience. And I think it really deserves a more of an audience and more of a look by a lot of comic books readers and creators and stuff, because I think a lot of that stuff falls on the wayside and people just have the Marvel and DC mentality, and they really miss a lot of really cool stuff. And it's really a shame. And so, again, if you're into that, any kind of stuff like that, please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and giving me a thumbs up. And give Adam Yeater a thumbs up. And he has his own channel on YouTube too, and I'll try to link it to that too, where he goes through a lot of his process and a lot of his comics and stuff like that. So, anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.